Hi, this is Chuck Gardner. This is another one of my boring golf tutorials. I'm assisted here by my loyal dog, Teddy Cavachon, who the channel is named for. I named it for the dog because I thought I was going to get rich making YouTube videos of the dog, but it didn't turn out that way. It's been a while since I did my last video, and I want to continue on the theme of the kinetic energy transfer in the golf swing, something that nobody else seems to talk about, which is why I'm interested in it. Everything that moves in a golf swing contributes to kinetic energy. And if you have a basic understanding of physics, you will understand that the energy in the golf swing, the motor in the golf swing, the crankshaft, if you will, is the turning of the body. And what this arm does here is it multiplies the force that's generated by the turning of the body. So that's one goal, is to create power. When you add this shaft on the end of it, it creates double lever action that again creates a multiplying force because the club head can accelerate around the hands faster than you can twirl it with the body. So it is like a 2 or 3 stage rocket where the body turn starts the rocket off the ground. The lead arm mass propels the second stage, and the third stage is the club whipping around the hands. Now, I started thinking about golf in terms of kinetic energy and vectors of kinetic energy because I understood that everything that moves contributes to kinetic energy. And everything that moves has a direction of the force. And back here in this backyard with the dog is where I have done most of my experimentation and practice, because when I use these squeaky balls, he loves to chase these things, and the biggest problem is he won't get out of the way, so I have a problem. I have to limit my swing so I don't hit him in the face with the club. So that's how I really got interested in, this whole kinetic energy thing, is how much energy can I put in the club head with the most limited amount of swing. Now, a big problem that people have in their golf swing, particularly a couple of my golf buddies, is coordinating their body motion, just getting the right kinetic sequence so all the dots, all the dominoes fall in the right order. And one of the things that I discovered, it was really a book by Steve Bond, who was Stuart Appleby and Robert Allenby and Adam Scott's Australian coach. He was like a kinetic exercise expert. That was his field of expertise. And he had this mantra that said, setup is impact. He was the first one that got me to start out by addressing the position in the impact position, then going back and relaxing, and then coming back to here. And I found that if I set up with my body in the impact position, I could come back to anywhere I wanted to, like Mo Norman. I mean, he would set up, he had a different kind of setup, but he would set up and then he could relax and go everywhere because he knew he was going to come back to the same place each time. So, what I have been doing with these backyard drills is that I have tried to isolate all the different movements and understand where the kinetic energy is. And there are a lot of different ways that you can rotate your body, and I've tried most of them. Hogan, he would call what I call posting his back leg. He would plant his spikes, his metal spikes, into the ground with a squared foot, and he would literally twist around this back leg. Well, that creates a lot of strain on the back leg. And it's also requires a lot more lateral shifting action. The more contemporary thinking in terms of rotating the body is turning over the center of rotation. And the thing of it is, though, if you watch pro golfers, is they aren't turning their body in a circle like a spinning helicopter blade. What they're doing is a lateral shift of everything. So I want to illustrate that here with these squeaky balls and show you that if you start in this position here where you've got both knees and your hips twisted open and your hands forward, then you come back, you can hit the ball very easily. This is the impact position. Just relax and come back. The club head will do the work, but what makes it a smooth kinetic sequence, if I started from here and tried to get that kinetic sequence, it would be very difficult to coordinate. Here, I'm feeling maximum resistance. I go forward flex to the point I can't stop, and my club head is right at the point where it would impact the ball. I come back and then just hit the ball. Not trying to hit forward, just hitting down and letting the club head do the work. Now, what's happening with the balls is they're going straight and winding up, pretty much close to each other. That one I hit behind, I wasn't focused enough on my target. Now, what you have to do in terms of targeting is I line the club up here, but my target is somewhere in front of the ball. And see, he wants to get it now. So that is basically what I'm doing is this shift. Well, let's analyze for a minute what this is doing. This is moving my entire body mass in this direction. The knees move laterally, but the body is also falling. So the net effect is that a force vector of my entire body mass going in this direction. Now, I wasn't trying to hinge the club around my hands at all. It was just a single lever swing. Now I'm going to gather up the balls and I'm going to try to add some hinging action with my wrist. Okay, I'm back. I've got the balls here. Now, I'm going to get the dog out of the way. I'm going to do the same thing with the same hinging action, but I'm going to let the club hinge. And now, with not any more effort, oh, there, I hit the tripod. I'm just easily pitching it across the yard. Very controlled swing. Now I start with the point where I'm getting resistance. This would be the impact position for a chip. And what I'm trying to do is just hit down on the ball. Now, swinging into resistance, that is a term of art that a golf instructor named Abe Mitchell created back in 1933 in a book he wrote called Down to Scratch, and probably used it before that. But that's the earliest golf book I've ever read. What happens to the club swinging around the hands is that it will stay lagged like this until this stops. Something stops this. What stops that? The biomechanics of locking up your knees and your hips, which is it's controlled by how much you flare your feet. So I stop here, and when I get to there, that is what causes the reaction of the club releasing. So by controlling how I do this, I control the timing of how the club head releases down into the ground and how much it accelerates. So in terms of the physics, you have two different force vectors at work now. You've got the force vector of your body, arm, and hands, which is going down way forward of the ball. It's coming down here somewhere out in this direction. If I were just to swing my arms, the vector is going to pull me off balance in that direction. The direction you get pulled off balance by doing the swing action will tell you where the force is. So it's the point when I reach this point here, and you notice as I come down, I'm also side bending and tucking the arm, externally rotating. That gives me that fulcrum action around my two middle fingers in the trail hand. So it's a combination of actions, locking the lower body, bringing it forward, bringing the force vector down in this direction. And then what happens when it meets resistance here, because this arm now straightens, and this is all the farther the hands can go. That's the point when the club head reacts by pulling itself around the hands. And if you do the overlapping Varden grip, like I said, the club head is not going to flip because the grip will prevent it from slipping. So you have to think in terms of where do you want to aim your vector of your kinetic energy for your body? You take the club out of your hands and say, where do I want it to go? Well, your trail arm is going to point to where the vector is. My vector is out here, but the club head is all the way back here. It's going to react and come down and meet the ball. So you have two independent force vectors, one in your body, arm, and hands that's going way forward of the ball, and then you have the one that's in the club head that's lagging behind and then speeds up and catches up with it. So that's the basic concept that, I'm trying to get across here. And, maybe that's a way that you've never thought of the golf swing before. And if you start thinking in those terms of where am I putting the kinetic energy? Where am I aiming the kinetic energy? I specifically aim to have my hands coming down and winding up in the same spot in my sight picture. That tells me that I've gone to the right place consistently. And then the thing about the genius of the Varden grip is that if you do overlap the bases of the thumbs and wrap the hands around, you will get a very predictable response from the club. It'll swing around, it will lag very easily. If you do the fulcrum thing, then come up and down around the hands, and then the grip will stop it. It's like hitting a doorstop. You're not going to flip the club if you use the proper grip and just come down to the point where you feel resistance. Now, one final thing, and I need to gather the balls again. Hey, sit. If you watch the last video, you will notice that I cut off the club head, the most important part of the thing in the video. And so I want to repeat what I was showing in that video, and that is that I learned the easiest way to set up the grip at address is to start with the toe of the club pointing forward and just laying it at my side, just finding it with my left hand with a neutral grip, and then bringing it up so the shaft is vertical, getting my trail hand on it, still with the club head turned at 90 degrees. Now when I turn to address the ball, what I do is I pull my hands from in front of my leg back to the center line, so the shaft is pointing directly vertically, not tilted forward, but it is vertically pointing right at my belt buckle. Then I turn my lead wrist. This strengthens the grip, rotates the forearm, and it causes this brachioradialis muscle, which is relaxed here, to stretch. This stretching here, and if you look at Hogan's grip, this is how strong his grip was. And I said in the last video, I hate the term strong because it's so ambiguous. This is a pronated palm down plus extension, plus when you get it down here, you have radial deviation already. So what I'm going to do here, roll up my sleeves, do some real work here, is I start out with it sideways, bring it back to the center. Now I know that I want the force vector out here somewhere of my hands. So then I come down here, I've squared the club. Now look at how loose my grip is in my trail hand. I really have not wrapped my thumb around it until I turn it and then get it behind the ball, and I still can take my thumb and my index finger off of there. I put my index finger, just rest it down the shaft. My thumb is barely any tension on it, keeping my thumb and my index finger together, and then I just oops. Now what I'm not doing, which I should, is lining up. Remember how I was saying you need to get in the impact position? I didn't do that on that last shot. So now, that's much better. I looked up a little bit, but start with my knees forward, turn the club back to get the grip correct, then just let the kinetic sequence work. These balls sometimes, because they're so soft, they don't come off the club face like a golf ball. So there, I mean, those weren't very good shots because of these silly balls, but you hopefully get the idea that starting in the neutral position and bringing it forward 90 degrees and then bringing it forward, straightening it and bringing it into the center, this gets you into the ideal position. Then to line up the shot and start your swing, I put myself in the impact position, knowing that now my arm is straight here. Then I come back and it's a much better kinetic sequence. So if you find that enlightening or interesting, go out and try it, leave some feedback. I appreciate getting feedback of people who actually try this stuff because that validates it for me that it actually works. So again, thanks for watching. Till next time, it's Teddy Cavachon channel, Chuck Gardner. See you later.